To Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on WakeUpCallDT.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT. Having some fun with you here where sports truly meets that thing called life, and we thank you for your patience as we got set for our next video here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Having some fun with Mr. Mike Sofka inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, and it is now time for the Fantasy Football Power Hour. The Fantasy Football Power Hour is proudly presented to you by the Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. So we're so happy to have you here and be hanging out with you where sports meets life. And so with that being said, let's bring in Mr. Sofka. Mike, how you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. It's crazy right now, though. I mean, the whole 2020 thing, I'm ready for the new year already. I mean, we don't know who our elected officials are. Week 12 is still being played. It's being played on as a Wednesday game. Next week, there's going to be a Tuesday game. It's 40 degrees in Florida. Cats and dogs are living together. The world has gone crazy.
Yeah, none of this makes any sense, and the cats and dogs living together, I don't want to believe it, Mike. I can't. If that happens, then Jesus is coming tomorrow. That's how I feel about all this. I'm trying to be ready. But I'm like, I want to have kids, man. I got stuff I want to do. But it's been a crazy year, of course, and we've learned so much from this crazy old year that we've had. But, hopefully it's taught us to be better to each other. Hopefully it's taught us to be better to ourselves and, to really just reflect on life and to give all that we can to the people that we love and we care about and the situations that we love and care about. So I hope that you're all well. I hope that you're all safe. I hope you all had a fantastic Thanksgiving. The Thanksgiving wasn't the way that Mike and I had thought it was going to be for the NFL, or any of us thought it was going to be for the NFL. We didn't get our game there, and we didn't get our final game of the night. The Detroit Lions did what they do and not show up on any day, including Thanksgiving, so it was nice to see. You know what, Mike? If for nothing else, at least the Detroit Lions are giving us some sense of normalcy. Doug Marrone in Jacksonville is giving us some sense of normalcy. So people can't say that 2020 hasn't had normalcy, because Jacksonville's still struggling, Detroit's still struggling, Bill Belichick is still a genius even when they don't win all of their games, and Tom Brady can still play football. So if for nothing else on this planet, I can tell you that the NFL has reminded me that there is some normalcy in life, and I very much appreciate it.
Yeah, the only thing I'm trying to figure out is which color uniform Trevor Lawrence looks better in, Jacksonville's or the Jets. I mean, I'm trying to figure it out here.
Which shade of green, essentially? Is that teal color going to be the color, or is it going to be that foresty type green? We'll have to find out here coming up in just a little bit. Mike, we got a full slate of games to get to, so let's hop right into it here on the Fantasy Football Power Hour. Not one of, but the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub. They closed down this week to do a deep cleaning and cleansing. They're doing everything they can times 10 to make sure that you are safe and sound when you walk into the Wildcat Sports Pub. I commend them on going the extra mile this year. I commend them on staying open, and I commend all of the local businesses and all of the businesses in general, including Honda City of Liverpool, Chick-fil-A Cicero, and Carvel DeWitt, that have international names but are so very local. And I see them all as local businesses because of how they treat our community. So please, I implore you to take care of them, be good to them, give money where you can. I know money might be scarce, but please, if you can, give money here, there, and everywhere. Our community needs it. You give money to them, they put money into the community. It's cyclical. They help each other. They employ our children, our husbands, our wives, our fiancés, our girlfriends, our boyfriends, our brothers, our sisters, our grandma and grandpa, mom and dad. So make sure that you do right by these businesses who need you now more than ever. With that being said, the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York, for those dining in. You can also call them at 315-487-2222. And because there's football games every single day, now you have more excuses to order pizza and wings if you even need an excuse, but now you got one. So make sure you call the Wildcat for curbside pickup, takeout, delivery, and catering. 315-487-2222. No Thursday night games this week, Mr. Sofka. There's 2 Monday nights and a Tuesday night. So let's start on Sunday. New Orleans at Atlanta. What do you got?
Yeah, this is going to be a good game. I mean, who would have thought that Atlanta would have pounded the Raiders? I mean, yeah, it was a home game, but I mean that game wasn't even close. I didn't expect that. That was the most shocking game of the week. So hats off to them. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, yeah, the Saints were supposed to win. Yeah, they were on the road at Denver, but they were playing the Oviedo Junior High School quarterback who once played a snap or two. I mean, it was bad. I felt bad for the guy. I felt bad for Hinton. It was a crazy situation. But anyway, we'll get to that another time. Look, New Orleans is a good team, no matter who the quarterback is. And I think Sean Payton's found his new wrinkle. He's found who he likes as his future. As the NFL evolves to this hybrid-type player who can run the ball, he's a threat to run the ball, so he can pass the ball, the RPOs. That's what Taysom Hill brings. So the future's going to look a little different for a lot of teams. And as you see, Taysom Hill looked pretty good. I know it's a small sample size, but I still think that's a nice direction for New Orleans to go to with their personnel. Taysom Hill's ranked number 8 on my rankings this week. Alvin Kamara, number 6. So you get a lot of running. You know, the teams that usually are successful can run the ball, and that's what they can do in New Orleans. Michael Thomas, 17 on the rankings. You're getting him a lot more involved. I don't know about Jared Cook, though. I don't know if I can play him. I don't even know if I can roster him at this point. He's number 26 on my tight end rankings. And on the other side of the ball, Atlanta, again, I can't say enough about what they did last week. I think Todd Gurley's going to be back. That was without Todd Gurley, too. So, I mean, Brian Hill mixed in a few runs, but Ito Smith really surprised me last week. He was the better back. He outtouched Brian Hill as well. So that might be the name to lean on should Todd Gurley not make it. I'm projecting Todd Gurley to make the game. He's ranked number 32. Matt Ryan, number 15 on the quarterback rankings. Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, those are the two guys, but it's almost like Calvin Ridley's the man now, and Julio Jones is the number 2. I got Calvin Ridley, number 14, Julio Jones, 25, and Hayden Hurst, little inconsistent. He even blanked 1 week not long ago. I still have confidence in him as number 8 on the tight end rankings this week. This is a good game. Both teams are dome teams. New Orleans usually doesn't play well on the road, but that's because Drew Brees usually doesn't play well on the road. This is Taysom Hill, and I'm going to go with the Saints in Atlanta for the win.
Yeah, you know, Mike, I'm going to have to go with the Saints in Atlanta as well. You know, Atlanta's had some good moments since firing their coach and their GM, which is interesting. But ultimately, you know, I just think New Orleans is too much, and I love that Taysom Hill is a starting quarterback in the NFL right now. I love that he's getting this opportunity and having this time. It really is an incredible thing. And it's so cool. And it makes me even more so want to push the point of if Taysom Hill can be a quarterback in the NFL, nay, a starting quarterback in the NFL, then why does Eric Dungy not even get a slot as like a 4th-string quarterback or a 3rd-string quarterback? Because, you know, the ability to be multiple and do a lot of different things, that's who he is. And that, you know, and he's been likened to Taysom Hill. So I think there's something to be said about that and the opportunity there. Taysom Hill, seeing him right now on the depth chart as the starter, that is such a long road. I don't even know the man personally, and I'm proud of him, and I'm happy for him. You know, I want to shout him out, and I have no connection to him. So, Taysom, congratulations to you. He is worth the play. Alvin Kamara is worth the play as well in this matchup. And Latavius Murray, who I've been telling you to flex out, he had himself a day recently, so I'd put him out there as well. Michael Thomas is worth the play. And then outside of Michael Thomas at wide receiver, Traquan Smith and Emmanuel Sanders, there's really nobody to lean on. So I'd say Michael Thomas is where your value's at, obviously. On Atlanta's side of the ball, Matty Ryan is not a bad one to play, but he's a quarterback too, because this New Orleans defense has shown that they do show up in games, so that's just something to watch. If Julio Jones is able to play, you could put him out there, but he's a lower-end wide receiver, too, due to a hamstring injury, and we know that hamstring injuries for wide receivers and running backs seem to nag a little bit longer and cause weeks of pain for fantasy owners, hopefully not weeks of pain for the player themselves. Calvin Ridley is the guy to put out there. Todd Gurley right now, Mike said he expected him to play. He's questionable. If he does play, you could put him out there, but he's a low-end 2, high-end 3 this week. I just look at the value really being with Calvin Ridley and some value being with Matt Ryan as well, with New Orleans winning the game. Detroit at Chi-Town, Mike, what do you have for this?
Yeah, we mentioned Detroit before, or I think you did earlier. Detroit's just a train wreck, and I thought they were going to win a couple games here and make the firing look good, but they let Houston come in and just put 41 on them, and on the opposite end of the spectrum, that's kind of what the Bears did. The Bears let Green Bay put 41 on them. So, almost identical scores in both games, both teams coming off the losing end of it. It was interesting. Mitch Trubisky's back. He needs to play well for the Bears to have a chance to win this game. I think the Bears will win this game. You look at Detroit, that's a train wreck. So, with that being said, Detroit's probably going to end up winning this game by 100. But I'm going to go with Cleveland still. Baker Mayfield needs to play.
You mean the Bears?
Cleveland, Chicago. Yeah. I'm sorry. Listen to me saying Cleveland. I'm going to go with Chicago just the same. Mitch Trubisky needs to play well. Mitch Trubisky is going to make this happen one way or another. He's either going to be on the team next year or he's not. So this is his audition. I think he's going to come through. He's ranked number 9 on the quarterback rankings for me this week. David Montgomery, number 7 on the running back rankings. David Montgomery, they need him to run the ball. If he runs the ball, they win games. Allen Robinson, number 10 on the wide receiver rankings. Anthony Miller, 58. And Jimmy Graham, 21. And, Detroit, I don't know if there's much to play. There's only 2 guys I would play. One of them didn't play last Smith, and I know a lot of fantasy football owners were quite upset with DeAndre Swift not being able to play last week. And then at the last minute, what do you have? You have Adrian Peterson go in and score 2 touchdowns to kind of twist that knife in your back a little bit. DeAndre Swift should be back this week. I got him ranked number 8. And the other guy I would start from Detroit is T.J. Hockenson. He's number 4 on my tight end rankings. Matt Stafford's a maybe emergency type situation in this game. Still don't know what we're going to get from Kenny Golladay. Marvin Jones hasn't really done much lately, so I would have Matt Stafford ranked 22 on my rankings this week. So, again, the only 2 guys from Detroit is Swift and Hockenson. And again, I don't know how anybody can pick Detroit. So, yeah, I'm not picking Detroit. I'm going with Chicago.
Yeah, I don't – I can't go with Detroit in this game either. Chicago was winning a bunch of games, and their record looked really nice. But we talked about how, I consider them a pretender this season, and that's the case. But Chicago's going to do enough to be able to win this game over a Detroit team that's just not working. And they just fired their head coach and their GM. Matt Patricia, and it just hasn't worked out with Mr. Patricia there, unfortunately. And I hope that he gets a good job and things work out in his favor. Swift is injured, so you got to watch it with the concussion protocol. This is a frustration for me because I have Adrian Peterson and I have DeAndre Swift. So Adrian made me pay and DeAndre made me pay. So I would say this week Adrian Peterson is worth the play as a flex if DeAndre is not able to go. If DeAndre is able to go, you put him out there. Marvin Jones, Detroit didn't have much to write home about in this matchup. He is a flex play. He's a wide receiver 3, if not a 4. T.J. Hockenson you play as a lower end 1 tight end. On the other side of it with Chicago, David Montgomery is worth the play. And outside of that, we look at the fact that there's not a ton from the receiving core again. I think it's really like DeAndre Swift, and David Montgomery. That's what it looks like, and some T.J. Hockenson. There's not a lot of fantasy wows in this game, but I got Chicago winning a close one that'll probably be in the low 20s. Cleveland at Tennessee, Mike. What do you have for this?
Yeah, Cleveland won last week, but, I hate to say it to any Jags fans, but it's the bottom line. A big deal. You beat the Jags, Cleveland. Cleveland is all hyped. They're looking for playoffs. They got things on a roll, or so they think, but they really haven't. They haven't impressed me at all. Okay, Tennessee's a better team, but Tennessee has shown that the game. They looked good last week, though. They went into Indianapolis and they beat Indianapolis. They beat the Colts. So This is going to be a real interesting game to watch. Two teams heading in opposite directions here soon, if you ask me. Baker Mayfield needs to play better. He's number 27 on my quarterback rankings this week. What Cleveland needs to do if they want to win the game is they need to run the ball. They need to run the ball. And then when they're done with that, they need to run the ball. Oh, and then they can play action pass to Jarvis Landry. That's how they're going to win games. Just follow that. Don't play bad defense. I got Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt ranked number 9 and 22, respectively. Jarvis Landry is the only receiver on Cleveland I could start number 21 on my rankings. And Austin Hooper, number 14 on my rankings. And looking at Tennessee just across the board is where all the money is. I like Tennessee this week. I like them in daily this week as well. So there's going to be a lot of value for the dollars you spend on these guys in daily. Ryan Tannehill, number 13 on the quarterback rankings. Derrick Henry's the guy. Again, Tennessee reminds me a lot of Baltimore in the fact that they rely on the run and strong defense. And that's what Tennessee does. And that opens up some play action for him or something deep down the field to A.J. Brown. But it all starts with Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, number 3 on my running back rankings this week. A.J. Brown, number 16. Corey Davis, 29. And Jonnu Smith, inconsistent, 17 on my tight end rankings. Look, I think Tennessee is just a better football team, but both teams can run the ball. This may be a low-scoring game, trying to keep the ball away from each other. I like Tennessee in this one at home.
Yeah, I think this is a great game fantasy-wise because you got Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, and Derrick Henry all playing in the same game against one another. I think it's fantastic. I think for me to go to Cleveland first, obviously you play Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Baker Mayfield's not a bad play if you have two quarterbacks, but he's a higher-end 2 this week, lower-end 1. Jarvis Landry, I agree with Mike. That's the only one you could really put out there. I have him as a lower-end. I would put him as a wide receiver, 2. And then as far as the other side of it, I like Baker over Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. Derrick Henry's where the money's at. Jonnu Smith, not a bad bet here, but hasn't done too much. So, and Jeff Swaim and so on and so forth. Not seen much out of Tennessee like we used to see with Delaney Walker. I think A.J. Brown is worth the play for you as a wide receiver, lower end 1. Corey Davis, maybe a flex guy. But the money's in Derrick Henry, Kareem Hunt, and Nick Chubb in this matchup. I do agree with Mike that they're going to run the ball. And Tennessee will air it out more. But I do agree that both teams are going to run the ball. They're going to try and stay in the trenches, condense the clock, and that's only going to help you out if you have any one of these running backs. I like them all in this game, and I think that that's where the fantasy value lies. And I'm going with Tennessee at home because I am not completely sold on Cleveland, and I think Tennessee will be able to do what they need to do. Cincinnati at Miami, Mr. Sofka, what do you got?
Cincinnati, you lost to the Giants. It's pathetic, but I know you're without Joe Burrow, and that just goes to show you need an offensive line. Cincinnati, Joe Burrow was on record for being one of the most sacked quarterbacks of all time. He was on that pace. The team's still on that pace. Of course, he's injured. Why is he injured? Because he got hit because you can't block. How about getting some linemen in Cincinnati? That just makes what Joe Mixon does and Giovanni Bernard does so much better and so much more impressive. And the Dolphins, big deal. You beat the Jets. Congratulations. What do you want from me? Dolphins, you are playing well, though. Andrew Van Ginkel, a no-name, is playing out of his mind. Every game he seems to be a part of a big play. Every game he seems to be one of the big things that pushes the team to the next level. They're already out there competing, but he turns it on that much better. He's an exciting player to watch. So, if you haven't watched him yet, Andrew Van Ginkel on the defense for Miami. I think it's going to come down to the defense for Miami because I'm not sure Miami knows what they're doing if they have a strong identity right now. What I mean is, I guess they're going to stick with Fitzpatrick right now. They're going to say that injury is a little too much for Tua, and they're going to give him some rest. But that's subject to change, so watch that. With that being said, I got Ryan Fitzpatrick ranked number 19 this week. Salvin Ahmed looks good for a bunch of weeks. Now he's dinged up. He's on IR. It's probably going to be Myles Gaskin to come off IR, so just watch what happens there. If it is Myles Gaskin, I got him ranked number 17 on the running back rankings. Devontae Parker's the only wide receiver I can really play with any sort of consistency, number 11, and Mike Gesicki, number 16 on my rankings. On the other side with Cincinnati, there's not a lot here. There's not a lot here because you can't block Cincinnati. I thought I just said this. Brandon Allen, number 28 on the quarterback rankings. Giovanni Bernard, number 15. And that's a volume play is what that is. He's not going to light it up because they can't block. You notice a recurring theme here? Get some blocking, Cincinnati. Miami's going to take it to them. I got Miami in a double-digit win.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for Cincinnati, Joe Burrow had him in a lot of games close as a rookie quarterback where they expect you to lose. But since then, you know, and in the loss of him, the numbers just feel lower. T. Higgins is still getting looked at. He's still getting eyed. 5 targets, caught all 5 in the loss to the Giants at home in Cincinnati. Had a touchdown in the game as well. Drew Sample also being looked at. Giovanni Bernard is involved, but not doing a ton. Tyler Boyd targeted 6 times more than any other player on the team when it comes to Brandon Allen throwing those passes out there. So I do see value in T. Higgins still. I see value in Tyler Boyd. Higgins over Boyd, in my opinion. They could be on an even line as a flex or a wide receiver 3 for you. Drew Sample as a tight end 2. Giovanni Bernard, flex running back because his numbers aren't great even though he's running the ball. And then for Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's playing Cincinnati. We know that he could put some magic out there. Fitzmagic might get a couple touchdowns for you in this game. So I don't think Fitz is a bad play if you got somebody off this week. There's only 2 teams off this week, but if you have a Teddy Bridgewater or a Tom Brady, this is the week to play Ryan Fitzpatrick. The rushing attack for Miami, I'm not sold on anybody. So, you know, that's a tough one for me to say. Devontae Parker could be a guy for you to look at as a low-end wide receiver too, and Mike Gesicki can jump up here a little bit here and give you some positives with Ryan Fitzpatrick coming back. So there is some fantasy value here. My favorite player to circle from Cincinnati would be T. Higgins. My favorite one from Miami this week would be Mike Gesicki or Ryan Fitzpatrick. I'm going to go with Miami at home because Cincinnati, even with Joe Burrow, wasn't getting it done, and now without him, I don't know how many games they win if they win any more games after this without Mr. Joe Burrow. I don't see it. I know they stayed close with the Giants, but again, folks, this is the Giants. So 19-17, not a way that you want to play against one of the worst teams in football. Speaking of one of the worst teams in football, Jacksonville at Lake Minnetonka. What do you have for Minnesota here, Mr. Sofka? Minnesota and Jacksonville. This could have been the Super Bowl just 3 years ago. Now it's not even close. What do you got?
Yeah, Minnesota coming off a game against Carolina where they won by a point. Jacksonville, listen to me, Dallas is almost playing as bad as Jacksonville. Jacksonville just lost by a couple of points to the Browns. And you got to wonder, is that going to be the outcome of this game? Is Minnesota going to win by a couple points and Jacksonville lose by a couple points? Odds makers don't agree. They think Minnesota is going to pound Jacksonville, and they're going to be led behind Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook's the number 1 ranked running back on my ranking this week. He looked like he was going out for an injury. You know, there's some leagues where free agents are free agents all the time, so people were rushing to the waiver wire to pick up Alexander Madison. He was able to return for a bit, but he's the number 1 running back this week. I don't think that injury is going to carry over. It looked like he was reacting a lot worse than it was, is what I'm saying. Adam Thielen's a guy they want back, though. Should he be back? I think he will. He's number 19 on my ranking this week. And Justin Jefferson, he's having an outstanding rookie year. And again, anytime a guy is putting up consistent wide receiver 1 numbers in this COVID year with no rookie training camp, no OTAs, none of that stuff. It's just amazing that this guy can put up this kind of numbers. It just shows how good he's going to be. He's number 12 on my rankings this week. I can't really start Irv Smith. He's gone away, but Kyle Rudolph, number 18 on the rankings if you need an emergency guy there, just based on the matchup, though, because Jacksonville's bad. They're playing bad. Doesn't mean they're a bad team. Doesn't mean they have bad players. One of the best players they have, of course, is James Robinson, number 4 on the running backs rankings this week. He's a one-man show. Nobody else is really getting any looks there. I'm not sure DJ Shark is going to make it. Laviska Shenault, I just don't know if I could start any of these guys. I really don't. And because of that, I got Mike Glennon ranked number 23 this week and Tyler Eifert 24. Until Jacksonville can show me something more on a consistent basis, outside of getting James Robinson to pick up a first down for you, I don't know if I can start any of these guys in reality. And for that reason, I'm picking Minnesota to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, James Robinson has been consistent upon consistent upon consistent upon consistent. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. He was undrafted out of Illinois State. Undrafted rookie. Jacksonville gave him a chance. He's done well with Gardner Minshew. He's done well with Jake Luton. He's done well with Mike Glennon. He had 22 carries for 128 of the team's 140 rushing yards and the only rushing touchdown for the team. That says a lot about this man. And for those of you that are wondering, Colin Johnson was a fifth-round pick here in 2020 by the Jaguars out of Texas. He was the leading receiver this week. This past week, every quarterback has a receiver. Well, Mike Glennon really likes Colin Johnson. And maybe that's because with Mike being lower on the depth chart, he was taking reps with Colin Johnson. So the guy you take reps with in practice, that's the guy you get comfortable with. And that's the guy that you rock with. So he's rocking with him now in real life. And that says something. So that's something that you have to circle and you have to watch and understand. Keelan Cole was targeted 6 times. Colin was targeted 8. Laviska Shenault was targeted 4. James Robinson was targeted 6 times, caught 5 for 31 yards, plus his 128 yards, gave him 159 yards, plus a touchdown. James Robinson's incredible. You play him, and then you play him some more. That's what you do. So I like James Robinson in this game. DJ Chark currently right now is questionable with a rib injury. That puts Keelan Cole and Laviska Shenault out there as well as Colin Johnson. If you want to flex out Colin Johnson and you need some help right now, I'm sure you can find him out there in free agency. I'd be very confident in that. You probably find most of the wide receivers for Jacksonville out there, so that's something to look for outside of DJ Chark. James Robinson's your best bet. Colin Johnson's your sneaky pick. And Laviska Shenault if DJ Chark isn't able to go. On the other side of it for Lake Minnetonka, the man that was drafted after Leonard Fournette, who's not even on the team. If I had a nickel for every time Jacksonville drafted somebody and somebody behind them was better, and that player isn't even on the Jacksonville team anymore that they drafted above that good player, I'd be a very rich man. I'd have a lot of nickels. I'll tell you that much. In the Leonard Fournette draft of 2017, Leonard Fournette, who's not on the team anymore, Christian McCaffrey was drafted after him, then Delvin Cook, then Joe Mixon, then Alvin Kamara, then Kareem Hunt, then James Conner, Chris Carson, 249, Austin Eckler, undrafted, Aaron Jones, 182. Just to show you that it doesn't matter who's drafted high, it matters what they do with it. Hype doesn't mean a thing to me. It's production. I don't want to hear about how great you are. I want you to just go out there and do your best and show me what you can be for my team. The Minnesota Vikings will get back to 500 at 6-6 with this game. Dalvin Cook, your best bet, and Justin Jefferson as well. Fantasy value in this game, Dalvin Cook and James Robinson. You'd think that based on the draft it should have been Leonard Fournette and Dalvin Cook, but that's not the case, and James Robinson is showing that Dalvin, you could say what you want to say about Leonard Fournette, but consistent 100-yard rushers and guys that you can lean on with 3 different quarterbacks, mind you. 3 quarterbacks, and Mr. Robinson is still doing a fantastic job. So shout out to him. I'm taking Minnesota at home, but I love James Robinson, and he is the giant bright spot in Jacksonville right now, more than anybody else currently there. The Raiders at the Jets. I thought, Mike, that this was going to be the 2 worst teams in football this year. The Raiders have surprised me. The Jets have proven me right. What do you have for this?
Yeah, I have a knock-knock joke for you. Ready? Knock-knock.
Who there?
Owen.
Owen who?
0-11. Are you kidding me, Jets? Are you really playing for Trevor Lawrence? I got another knock-knock joke for you. Ready? Knock-knock.
Who's there?
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas who?
Las Vegas Raiders who just got our butt whipped in Atlanta. Are you kidding me? How did we lose by almost 40 points? This game is going to be something else. This game's going to be all Raiders. Let's just call it what it is. The Jets are really bad. I can't start any of these guys for rankings purposes, and to show you why I can't start them, Frank Gore is their leading rusher right now, pretty much, number 23 at 186 years old. Sam Darnold, I don't know what to make of this guy yet. They're obviously going to bring in Trevor Lawrence. I think you trade Sam Darnold at the end of the season here. Get what you can. Get a 4th or 5th round pick. A team will pick that up. I got him ranked in the high 20s. I can't start that guy. I can't start Crowder, Perryman, Chris Herndon. They're just bad across the board. And you know, I pray for him. I hope they get Trevor Lawrence because Trevor Lawrence would do well in a big city. The only thing is Trevor Lawrence doesn't want to go to the Jets because he knows it's a train wreck. On the other side of the ball, John Gruden, up until this last game, was making himself look to be that $10 million a year investment that they put in him. Looked like he was going to be the guy. Looked like that was a smart move. Then you go to Atlanta. Then you do that. You look so good, and then you do that. Derrick Henry, number 17 on the ranking. He's trying to get the ball out to Nelson Aguilar, but the guy he really gets the ball to is Darren Waller, number 2 on the tight end rankings. Josh Jacobs, he's a great running back. He's every week. He's a RB1 for you as long as he's healthy. Devontae Booker, I like the way they've been getting him involved. So Josh Jacobs, definitely an RB1 on the low end, number 12 on my rankings this week. And Devontae Booker, if you're looking for an emergency flex guy, something like that to fill in, they're getting him the ball. They're getting him involved, and that's just smart on their end. Devontae Booker, number 40 on the rankings. But again, you know, beats not having anybody in the game if you're in a bad situation. He might be available. And by the way, waiver wires are adjusted this week depending on which platform you're using. So if you're playing in multiple leagues on multiple platforms, doesn't mean the waiver rules for that platform is the same because we have a Wednesday game this week and because next week we're having a Tuesday game. So make sure you pay attention to the adjusted waiver wires and your scoring systems in that regard because you could be looking at bad information when you're looking at the following week because week 12 isn't even done yet. You know, we don't even know if some of these guys are going to exit week 12 without injury yet. So it's kind of a dangerous thing that you do when you're forecasting and projecting players' performance when you don't even know if they're going to take the field. But, hey, that's why they pay you the big bucks, right, Dan? I'm going to have to go with the Raiders in this game, of course, because the Jets are just pathetic.
Yeah, I mean, the Raiders, they played this past week the way that I thought the season may have gone for them, and like I said, they have stunned me a little bit. I don't want to wait. I'm going to say stun me because they beat the Chiefs too. So the Raiders have done some good things, but that wasn't last week. Losing 43-6 to an Atlanta team that doesn't have a good defense, to an Atlanta team that wasn't that good, 3-7 coming into the game at the time. So, a head scratcher for this one. The Jets we know are bad. I called them in my power rankings of the NFL, 1 through 32, 1 being the best, 32 being the worst franchise this season that I thought was going to come out of this thing record-wise. I said the Jets were the worst, and they proved me 150,000,000% correct. So I guess I could say thank you for that. And Jets fans can be proud that one of the predictions came true, I guess. It just wasn't the right one. So if Josh Jacobs is able to play in this game, then he is worth the play for you. Henry Ruggs and Hunter Renfrow are flex guys for you. So is Nelson Aguilar. They're also playing the Jets, so they're worth being looked at as a flex. There's nobody on the Jets that I could tell you to play. I mean, Jamison Crowder's your best bet, but hopefully you don't have to rely on the Jets. If you're relying on the Jets, you're probably not going to the playoffs in your league this year. So with that being said, it's all Raiders. I'm going with the Raiders. I can't imagine that they will lose a game to the Jets, but after coming off of that game, it does make me a little bit concerned about how they played against the Falcons. But this is the Jets, so I'm going with the Raiders in this matchup. The Colts at the Texans. Texans used to win this division. The Colts are trying to win this division. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the Colts are a really good team. I don't know what happened to them last game, though. I mean, they let Tennessee come in and put a pounding on them. I mean, Tennessee had 35 points at halftime against them. So I think their defense needs to play a lot better. The Texans, on the other hand, they seem to be missing DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, they beat Detroit, but it was Detroit. We talked about this before. Detroit's a bad team. So I think this is a close game, and this is going to be an exciting game. This is an important game in the AFC South. You know, it starts off for both teams with their quarterback, and the highest-ranking quarterback on the field is going to be Deshaun Watson. He seems to put up, quarterback one numbers every week. He's number 4 on my quarterback rankings this week. Brandon Cooks has got to continue to be the guy. He's learning to be the guy, and I hope that keeps up for him because he's had struggles as a wide receiver one in the past. But he's number 9 on my rankings this week. And watch out for Kiki Kuti this week because, well, Will Fuller suspended from PEDs at the same time that Randall Cobb is out and injured. So you don't know what you're getting here. So Kiki Kuti, he's a speculative play. Keep your eye on him. If you need somebody, he's probably out there, even if waivers have already processed on the platform you're using. Kiki Kuti, number 41 on the rankings this week. Jordan Akins, number 29. On the other side of the ball, there's a couple guys you can play. You can play Phillip Rivers. Now, he's not Deshaun Watson, but he's still a bottom-end QB1 this week, number 12 on my rankings. Look for Trey Burton. I like Trey Burton. He's a sneaky pick. He's a sneaky play for you. Maybe you have Gronk or I don't know. Maybe you have an injury at tight end still you're struggling with. Look for Trey Burton. He might be good for 40, 50 yards at a touchdown. I got him ranked number 15 this week on the tight end rankings. The challenge is at wide receiver. Where is T.Y. Hilton gone? Zach Pascal? There's none of these guys that I can really play. I mean, if I got T.Y. Hilton, the guy that should be the number 1 receiver, if I've got him ranked number 52, that's just bad for your team. What they are doing is running the ball well, and it's kind of a mixed bag of tricks behind Jonathan Taylor, Nyheim Hines, and Jordan Wilkins. Each week it looks like a different guy almost, but the most stable of the two are Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines. As long as they're both healthy, they're both going to get bottom-end RB2 numbers for you. I have Jonathan Taylor ranked number 21, and I have Nyheim Hines ranked number 20. Looking at this game, I don't know which team is better. I think they're both equal in some regards. So I'm just going to take Indianapolis. I'm going to take Indianapolis because I don't think that we saw the best team win that game last week when Tennessee walked in there. I just think Indianapolis didn't play as well as they could have, and they should have won that game. So I'm going to go Indianapolis again this week.
Yeah, I mean, Indianapolis has, going into the season, there was the notion that they were going to vie for the champion for the rights to own the AFC South with the Titans, that the Colts would be right there with the Titans, and I give them credit because they have been. So I don't think that Indianapolis, even though they might falter sometimes, they may not look pretty in fantasy, but in reality they're getting it done. In reality, T.Y. Hilton's still on the team, and that's good for them. In fantasy, if he's on your team, probably not helping you that much. But this is where we're at currently right now, and this, they just care about the reality of it all. You and I want to talk about fantasy football and all of that, and many of us play the game, but at the end of the day, all the Colts want are to get those victories. And right now they're 7-4. The Houston Texans are 4-7. Obviously the opposite right there. Tennessee is 8-3. The Colts were able to go up against Tennessee and defeat them in Tennessee 34-17, and then welcome them into Lucas Oil Stadium and lost 45-26. So kind of interesting how they have a 1-1 record against each other, but they've lost to one another when they were playing in their home stadium, which is very interesting here. For the Colts, first and foremost, as they are the road team in this game, I would tell you that Nyheim Hines, and he's worth the play. He is. But it's because he's utilized. He's a guy that's utilized in so many different areas. He was a H-back type of player, kind of that utility guy that could do a bunch of different things for you. He's a running back. He's a tight end. He's a wide receiver type of feel when he was at NC State. So he is worth the play for you in this. And shout out to him for getting first on the depth chart as we're looking at it right now. I like Nyheim Hines in this game. And then Jack Doyle, he's not really getting targeted that much. The value lies in Nyheim Hines with an outside look at Jordan Wilkins, with Jonathan Taylor on the COVID-19 list right now. Michael Pittman, also a deep flex for you. On the other side of it, Deshaun Watson, even though I think the Colts are going to win, he's the better quarterback in fantasy to put out there this week. And Brandon Cooks is someone to look to with Will Fuller being taken out here, as Mike was talking about. So we could look at Brandon Cooks move forward, and Kiki Kuti, we could see him, and you probably find him on your waiver wire or your free agency. He's somebody to put out there for you in this matchup as a flex player as well. Wide receiver 3, I would call him this week, playing up against the Colts. But I'm going to pick the Colts in this one to win the game. With that being said, Mike and I are going to take a step aside for a fast break. When we roll back around, we will go through these games. We'll round robin this thing in quick fashion. We'll start off with the Rams at the Cardinals as we continue Week 13 of Fantasy Football Advice, brought to you here inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour, not one of or a, but the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. And you can call them for curbside pickup, takeout, delivery, and catering at 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. When Mike and I come back, plenty more fantasy football for Week 13 right after this.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on WakeUpCallDT.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT. Hanging out with you inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, having some fun here where sports truly meets life, and appreciate you being here with us as always on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT, where you're listening, watching on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, and of course picking all this up on WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage with the MixLR feed embedded there as well. With that being said, we're inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub. It's Week 13 of the NFL. I feel blessed and honored and privileged and just so hopeful in going in the right direction for this world, with knowing that not only do we have an NFL season, but we have an NFL season that is double-digit weeks in and Week 13. So a beautiful thing is Mike and I have tried to keep it as normal as possible here for you. In an abnormal world, we've tried to do what we could, and I thank the NFL for everything that they're doing. I pray they're doing it safely and soundly, and Mike and I trying to give you all that we can to help you just, get excited about fantasy football and have that sense of normalcy and that thing that you really love to do. So we're here for you, always and forever, and we appreciate you tuning in to us and giving us an opportunity to not just help you with fantasy, but to give you some positivity on your week. The Rams at the Cardinals, Mike, what do you got?
Yeah, both these teams are coming off disappointing games where they just didn't play well, and they didn't play well just enough to lose. I mean, I think that was my upset of the week last week with Belichick. He dialed it in. He had Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray had a bad game. And when you're able to do that at your home field, too, Belichick's just a beast in that regard. He's a defensive genius. And then you take a look at the other end, Jared Goff isn't playing well, and that's why they lost to the Niners at their house. I mean, these teams need to play well. I'm looking forward to one of these teams being played well. One of these teams playing well, I should say, and I look for that to happen behind their defensive line. Defensive line play is underestimated because we don't focus on it enough when you're playing fantasy football. But if you're picking winners, that's the way to go. The defensive line needs to play better for the Rams. They have a real good defensive line. They also have some real good receivers. So that's why Jared Goff has got to play better. I mean, I have a way for both these teams. If I was the coach of both these teams, I would tell my players, do better. So they would say, what, at tackling, at blocking, at running, at scoring? What do you want me to do? Yes, all of that.
Yes.
Do better. That's what I would tell both these teams. But Jared Goff's number 16 on my rankings this week. He should be a quarterback one. He's just not playing well enough right now. But those receivers I was talking about, Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, number 5 and 18 on my rankings respectively. Tyler Higbee, number 19, and Gerald Everett, number 23. So I'm probably not going there. And I'm going to tell you something. Again, we talked about this because these weeks have been adjusted because we're still playing Week 12 games on Wednesday. Your waiver wire rules may be different this week. Cam Akers is a guy you should target, and if you've already had waivers and he's a free agent, you need to find a way to get him on the bench. Now I know it's that mixed bag of tricks with Darrell Henderson and Malcolm Brown in the mix, and these guys are all ranked in the 30s and 40s. But remember, we got playoffs coming up. He's going to be the hot hand. He's going to be the guy you're going to want to have on your bench at least. Cam Akers, number 42 this week, but again, he's a hot waiver wire pickup, hot free agent pickup for you. And then you look at the other side, Kyler Murray. Yeah, he got dialed down last week, but they're not facing Belichick. He just has to focus on that quick release and use the Rams' defensive line speed against them with his legs, which he's capable of doing. That's the scary thing. Kyler Murray, number 3 on my quarterback rankings this week. DeAndre Hopkins, he should be turning it up a notch better, but they just had a bad game last week. They basically took him out of the game as well. Not the DeAndre Hopkins we're used to seeing, but again, he plays at such a high level. If he has an average game, we're like, hey, what's wrong with you? He's number 13 on the wide receiver rankings. Christian Kirk, number 34. Heck, you might even mix in a Dan Arnold for a red zone touchdown. He's number 32, though. He's going to be touchdown dependent. He's not going to get the yards. The guy who's getting yards is Kendrick Drake. He had a strong game last week. He's going to continue to put up strong games, and Chase Edmonds is going to be that flavored ice cream. He was flavored a month, and that was it. Kenyon Drake is back, number 19 on the rankings. Chase Edmonds, number 36. Looking at this game, I said I was going to go with the better defensive line, and I know Kyler Murray is going to be able to make some plays, but I still got to go with the better defensive line in the Rams. I'm going to take the Rams to win this game in Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona has been and we joke about it, Mike. We talked about it against New England. They could lose this game, right? It would make sense. Cam Newton, Bill Belichick, the Patriots, they could end up losing this game. And they did. They lost the game in New England, 20-17. They've lost 3 of their last 4 games. They lost to the Dolphins, 34-31. They defeated the Bills 32-30 barely. They lost to the Seahawks on the road 28-21, and they lost to the Patriots 20-17 on the road. So Arizona's got to be really careful right now because they don't have a bad record, but they're close to being 500. They're 6-5 right now. LA's already above them at 7-4 in the division, and Seattle at 8-3. So they really, really need to watch themselves to not have a loss beat them twice. You never want to see that happen. We'll go with the Rams first on this one, as the Rams are the away team. So with the Rams, I'm going to tell you that Darrell Henderson is worth the play in this matchup. Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, and Mr. Higbee. I like them all in this matchup at this point. And then Malcolm Brown is maybe a flex guy for you. For Arizona, I still like Kyler Murray. I like Kenyon Drake a lot as he's woken up. And DeAndre Hopkins is not going to, like you said, he has a 55-yard day and everybody's like, what the hell's wrong with you? Then you're praying that somebody gets you a 50-yard day. So I'm going to go with DeAndre Hopkins in this one and give him an opportunity. And, Christian Kirk really hasn't shown me anything yet. I'm expecting more, and I'm not seeing it, unfortunately. This is a very tough game for me to pick. Very, very tough game for me to pick. But I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that the Cardinals bounce back. So Mike's going with the Rams. I'm going to go with the Cardinals. The New York Football Giants, as my man Boom Boom would say, versus the Seattle Seahawks. What do you have for this one, Mr. Sofka?
Yeah, I think both teams are playing bad right now. I mean, Seattle did enough to win, and so did the Giants last week. But again, the Giants beat the Bengals. I mean, those teams were just and are both bad. So somebody had to come out with a win. And same thing with Seattle. Seattle's defense has been historically bad, especially for them. So, well, they did hold Philadelphia to 17 points, but their pass defense has been suspect. They haven't been able to pressure the other quarterback, and they're letting long plays, big chunk plays happen to them every game. So there's a lot of fantasy value on both sides of the ball in this game. This is a game you can make some money on in daily. I got Russell Wilson, number 2 on the quarterback rankings this week. Chris Carson, number 11. He should be back to full health now. He looked pretty good running the ball into the end zone with 5 guys on his back. If you haven't seen that replay, go find it. Carlos Hyde's going to be a thing of the past, so is everybody else on that, because Chris Carson is back in full effect. And the full effect is Russell Wilson getting the ball to DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, both ranked in the top 10, number 6 for DK Metcalf, number 7 for Tyler Lockett. Will Disley, he might get a touchdown. He's a touchdown-dependent guy. He's number 30 on my rankings. But then you go to the other side of the ball. Evan Ingram's the guy that's going to get most of the red zone looks. He'll probably get a couple touchdowns for you. He's number 5 on the tight end rankings. Colt McCoy to be the quarterback, I think. Colt McCoy took over for Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones looked like he had a lower extremity, a hamstring injury, and we don't know what to make of it. He went back in the game. He was having trouble even planting that leg. So I think Colt McCoy is going to be the one that's going to dress this week. That's why that tight end is so critical in Evan Ingram. Wayne Gallman's going to get a lot of volume, number 18 on the running back list for me. And Sterling Shepard, a lot of people forgot about this guy. He's come back around. He's number 24 on the wide receiver rankings. I don't know if I can start any of the other receivers there, but looking at this game, you're going to think, oh, Seattle's going to win. I'm not even going to be interested in that game. Seattle's going to walk all over them. They could, and they probably will. That's where all the fantasy money is. But I think this game will be closer than people think, even though the Giants are on the road. It's a 4 o'clock game on the left coast, Eastern Standard Time, that is. I still got to take Seattle at home. It's just I think it's going to be closer than they expect at 10 points.
I have a question. What are the Giants doing? Why are they trying to win? You know what I mean? It's like them and the Jets were going to get like the number 1 and number 2 pick, right? They're on a 3-game winning streak. They've won 4 of their last 6 games. They've won 3 divisional games within all of that. The Giants are in first place of the NFC East, 4-7. Washington, 4-7. Philadelphia, 3-7-1, and Dallas, 3-8. You can't, no matter how much you try to not win in the NFC East, you're still a playoff caliber team. That's how insane this is. All 4 of them are going to be in the playoff hunt down the stretch. I believe that, at least right now, which is sickening, horrifying, and it is a sign of 2020. So, with that being said, what?
They're going to get to host a home playoff game at 6-7 or something like that. There's horrible.
Makes you want to throw up. But this, Evan Ingram's still doing his thing. 129 yards, 9 targets, 6 catches. That man going to work. He is still the best receiver on that team, and he's a tight end. So Evan Ingram is the guy that should play in this one. Wayne Gallman's not a bad flex for you, running back 3. Outside of that, on the other side for Seattle, Russell Wilson. Russ the Bust got to stop busting right now. He's got to start making it happen. You can't be, like, they call him Russ the Bus, but now it's Russ the Bust. And you don't want to see that. You don't want to accent that T. You want to keep Russ the Bus, right? He keeps it moving. Well, Russ the Bust is not moving anything right now. So we got to see which Russ is going to show up to the game. I'm going to tell it to you like this. If I was married to Sierra, I'd be doing all right. So that's all I'm going to let you know. So, Russell, wake up, bro. You got a good life. Make it happen. Chris Carson, Russell Wilson, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, all worth the play in this matchup. And DK Metcalf talking about him being like Megatron. Don't speak blasphemy, bro. You got to back up a little bit on that one, okay? You ain't bad, but don't be talking about Megatron. Megatron is something special, and Megatron I think could still play today. And Detroit should probably make the phone call. I am going with the Seattle Seahawks at home. Philadelphia, Green Bay, Mr. Sofka. What do you have?
Yeah, this is a tough game, and this is going to be a tough game for only one team. And what I mean by that is just take a look. Take a look at what the Packers are able to do. The Packers are able to put up 40 points. Ben Roethlisberger. Aaron Rodgers is playing out of his mind, okay? He gets 4 touchdown passes. He's come around to liking Matt LaFleur. It's not LaFleur, it's LaFleur. I learned that this week. I've been saying it wrong, so it's LaFleur. L-E, then F-L-E-W, then E-R.
I
like
just,
that.
you know, when I go to France and I land, I want you to be giving me my biscotti. I would love for you when I get off the plane and you're going La Fleur. I want that. I want you to be my server at the French restaurant and having you say La Fleur multiple times. That is what I look forward to. So if you're not in France when I land, Mike, it's not real. And it must still be 2020 at that point.
I learned my French. I had French lessons from Steve Martin, the comedian. So I also know how to say omelette du fromage, cheese omelet. So we can eat cheese omelets, and we'd have a great time. Look, I look at this game, and I don't know how the Packers can lose this game. This is going to be interesting. I'm sure they'll try to find a way, but the Packers are just a team that can put up points, and that's what you got to do to win games, and that's what you got to do to make your fantasy football players happy. Looking at the Packers, Aaron Rodgers, again, he's consistently a QB1, number 7 this week. Aaron Jones, his buddy and Aaron, number 5 on the running back rankings. Devontae Adams, number 2 on the wide receiver rankings. And Robert Tonyan, number 10. They got a top 10 guy in each position class here for your fantasy team. So you're definitely playing these guys. You're definitely playing them in daily fantasy because I don't believe in Philadelphia's defense either. Philadelphia is going to have to put up points. So maybe on a volume end, being they're going to have to chase the scoreboard, they might surprise some people. I think Miles Sanders is still an RB1. I know he hasn't looked totally great every single outing, but this is a guy who's capable of looking great. He's number 10 on the running back rankings this week. Boston Scott's a forgotten name now that Miles Sanders is back. I can't trust any of the wide receivers, hence, therefore, the problem. Travis Fulgham, you were a flash in the pan for a little bit. John Hightower, where have you gone, my man? I thought you were going to be good. I know you're young in the game here, but the only guy you can play to receive the ball is Dallas Goedert at number 12 on my rankings. Carson Wentz has been playing miserable. Jalen Hurts got to play a couple plays. His first play was a completed pass, but then they went away from it seemed. And it looked like Carson Wentz was running the ball well and being mobile, but when you're basically the leading rusher on your team, that's not a good thing. And when his name's Carson Wentz, that's not a good thing as well. So he was the leading rusher for his team last week, and that's not the formula for them to win. I got the Packers all day in this one.
Yeah, I got the Packers in this game, too. Shout out my grandfather, Mr. Tommy Cavino. I love you, Pop, up in heaven. I know you're watching over me, and I hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a great time up there with Grandma, with G-Mama and company. So, yeah, I mean, for me, I got to go with the Packers in this matchup. Philadelphia, Miles Sanders getting outrun by Carson Wentz, that doesn't make me feel good about anything. So, I mean, I still think that Miles Sanders is a running back that you should put out there. Low end one, I would say. Dallas Goedert and Richard Rodgers were the two leading receivers and both caught touchdown passes in the game for Philadelphia most recently. I would play them both. Richard Rodgers is a 2. Dallas Goedert is a 1. Jalen Hurts is a little sneaky one if you get to play two quarterbacks. Just a thought. Just put it out there. Travis Fulgham and Jalen Reagor still flex position guys for you. On the other side, it's Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, all worth the play for you in your matchups. Robert Tonyan, man, if I could figure this guy out. He led the team in receiving yards above Devontae Adams in the win over the Bears. 67 yards, 5 catches on all 5 targets, caught them all. 1 touchdown in the game. He got me 1 point 2-3 weeks ago. So Robert Tonyan worth the play because he's playing Philadelphia in this one. So put him out there. Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones still getting, they're splitting carries right now. Both doing pretty good. Jamal Williams is not a bad running back 3 flex guy for you in this matchup. The value lies in Green Bay more often, or more than Philadelphia by a lot. And I'm going with Green Bay in reality as well to win this matchup. Mike and I will run through these for you before we hop out of here. The Patriots at the Chargers. This could be a playoff game. You know, this is kind of like a thought of like, hey, this is playoff caliber teams playing up against each other, right? You see these two teams, and then you remember that Tom Brady's not New England, but they just beat Arizona. And then you look at the Chargers and go, well, they're in last place right now, the AFC West at 3-8. So it's a different season this season. New England's 5-6. The Chargers are 3-8. They got each other in LA. What do you got?
Yeah, Austin Eckler showed up. It was great to see him back on the field for the Chargers. The Chargers, that wasn't enough for them to win. Eckler with 11 receptions and 85 yards. But they were playing in Buffalo, and they were playing Buffalo. Justin Herbert's been playing out of his mind, throwing for over 300 yards last week again. And then you look at the other side of the ball. New England did what they had to do to beat the Cardinals in their home crib, and that was all Belichick. That whole game was Belichick and the defense. So, you know, hats off to them. But in this game, is Belichick going to be able to do that same thing, have that same tenacious defense against the Chargers? And that's suspect to me because, again, Justin Herbert playing really well. Justin Herbert's playing so well, he's a top 5 quarterback again for me, number 5 on my rankings. Again, Austin Eckler, that was the tune-up game. That was the warm-up game. That was the welcome-back game. That was the make sure I'm up to NFL speed game. He's number 2 on my wide receiver rankings. Keenan Allen, number 4, and Hunter Henry, number 3. Again, look at that. 4 guys in the 4 positions in the top 5. There's also another guy you want to play as well, Mike Williams. He's number 16 on my rankings. He's going to have a good game this week as well. Furthermore, on the other side of the ball, New England, it's all Bill Belichick. I wish if it was a fantasy league where you're playing the coach, I would take Belichick because you know he's going to do everything in his mind to win this game, and he just might. But that's behind Cam Newton, and Cam Newton's almost a coach on the field. Cam likes him some Cam, especially when he's down near the goal line. For that reason, he's barely a top 10 quarterback, top 12 quarterback, number 11 on my rankings. Damian Harris is going to be the guy that's going to run the rock. James White's going to be the guy that's going to catch the rock. They're going to cannibalize each other in that respect. Number 30 and number 28 on my rankings. And maybe Jacoby Myers. I don't know. I can't start any tight end. I can't really even start a receiver. I don't know if it's going to be Myers or Damari Bird or who's going to show up, if anybody. They're going to try to ball control and defensively win games behind Cam Newton's ability to read the field and run the ball, run the RPO, and Belichick's ability to play defense is just not going to be enough, I don't think. Not on the West Coast, not in Justin Herbert's crib. I think Justin Herbert's going to come out. Now, the line is even right now on this game, so that says a lot. That says New England should win this game. I just think Justin Herbert's going to not fall to the pressure of Belichick, even though Herbert's a rookie, and even though Belichick's the defensive mastermind. I just have one of these gut feels on this game. I like Justin Herbert in this game, so I'm going to go with the Chargers at home.
Yeah, I like Justin Herbert better than Cam Newton in this matchup as well. But, you kind of have to sit here and Belichick yourself, Mr. Sofka, because you see New England going on the road, and you're like, they're going to win. You know what I mean? And they probably could. As long as Belichick is there, they can win the games. But their numbers are off. Their numbers are really not good in fantasy. I don't want to call them awful, but they're so underwhelming. You look at how they beat Arizona, and it's like Nobody did great. Cam Newton didn't have good numbers. Jacoby Myers didn't have good numbers. And N'Keal Harry didn't have good numbers. So who do you play? I mean, I guess you play Cam Newton. He's not bad for you. He's a low-end 1, high-end 2 quarterback. I guess you look at Damian Harris and give him a nod. Jacoby Myers is a flex. N'Keal Harry is a flex. Low ones. No wide receiver, or no tight end that I would look to. But on the other side, Justin Herbert. Hero. I like it. Kalen Ballage is doing a great job. Now he's questionable. If he's able to play, then, that's a flex. Justin Herbert's where the money's at. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Hunter Henry. I'm going with the Chargers at home to win this game. Last one before you take our final step aside, Mr. Sofka. This game would have been fantastical if it was Montana versus Elway, but it's not. Denver's on to their 157th quarterback of the last 10 years, and Kansas City has Pat Mahomes and a fantastic team that's trying to get back to the Super Bowl. The only problem is Kansas City hasn't looked great. They've looked pretty good, but they're a little bit concerning right now. What do you have for Denver at Kansas City in this one?
Well, great news, Denver fans. It looks like you're going to have an actual quarterback position player this week. I kind of felt bad for them having those 4 guys shut out. They tried to get a coach, Calabrese, who used to play quarterback for UCF back in the day. They called my house looking for Trey to see if he could play quarterback. They were hurting. Their whole quarterback room was out. And it was what it was. It was the result you expected. It's going to be different this week. Drew Lock's going to be back under center. And you're right, the Chiefs have been underwhelming. They had a close game with the Bucs where Tom Brady just played bad, and you expected them to pound them, but they only won by 3 points when Tom Brady played bad. So I think that the Chiefs are suspect against the run, and this is where it could pay off for you a little bit, because I got Melvin Gordon 27 on the rankings. A lot of people are way down on him. You could play him real affordably and daily in a flex position and get some money, because I don't think Kansas City is going to be worried about that run. They're going to be worried about Drew Lock, but I don't think they're going to have to be worried about him, because they're going to be able to pressure him. And for that reason, I got Drew Lock number 29 on my rankings. And Jerry Jeudy, when Jerry Judy's your lead receiver, because of attrition, because of injury, because Courtland Sutton's out, you got all bad news at the receiver place. I can't start Jerry Jeudy. He's number 37 on my rankings. Tim Patrick, number 50. KJ Hamler. Again, these are young receivers, so it's me asking a lot, but you have to have that high level of expectation to get these guys on your roster and in your lineup week after week, and then daily as well. So I don't see any value there. And the one guy I see value in receiving the ball is Noah Fant, number 9 on my tight end rankings. And going over to the other side, this is where the real value is. And, of course, you know that already. These guys just have to play. They have to do better. What do you want me to do better, Coach? Everything. But it's hard because these guys usually are number 1. And they're number 1 this week. Patrick Mahomes, number 1 quarterback on my rankings. Travis Kelce, number 1 tight end on the rankings. Tyreek Hill, again, number 1 on my rankings. So that's where your money is, and those 3 guys, you know that. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, worth number 16 on my rankings. Le'Veon Bell hasn't shown up yet in my eyes, number 48 on my rankings this week. Look, I think Denver's capable of snatching a victory away here, but I just don't think it's going to happen. The Chiefs players are much better, from quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, across the board. They're just a better team. Of course, Kansas City is going to continue their winning ways. They're going to win.
Yeah, Kansas City getting that dub this past week over Tom Brady on the road in Tampa Bay, forcing two interceptions there on Tom Brady. No interceptions from Patrick Mahomes. So, in this matchup, I will also be going with Kansas City at home against the Denver Broncos. Felt horrible for them last week with what they had to deal with at the quarterback situation. And fantasy-wise, feel horrible because I can't really tell you many players. Noah Fant, tight end 2. Jerry Jeudy is now a wide receiver 3 this week. Melvin Gordon, running back 3 this week as well. Kansas City size, Pat Mahomes, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Tyreek Hill, who saved my buddy's butt in fantasy, and Travis Kelce, all worth the play for you. Also look at Kansas City's defense and special teams. I like them all in this one. I think it's going to be fantastical for Kansas City. And McCole Hardman, got to see what he's going to do. And Sammy Watkins, these are flex guys for you right now. Sammy Watkins above McCole Hardman. But at any given time in Kansas City, that ball could be spread out, and you're kicking yourself if you don't have Demarcus Robinson or McCole Hardman. They just haven't been consistent enough for us to tell you to put them out there for sure. With that being said, Mike and I have 2 Monday night games and a Tuesday night game to talk about right after this fast break, the final fast break of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life here inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. We'll be back in just a moment.
Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant is different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on WakeUpCallDT.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, hanging out here with you where sports truly meets life on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT as well. Inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour, here with you in the hour number 2 and then some of every Wednesday broadcast, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York, as well as curbside pickup, takeout, and delivery, 315-487-2222. If you're staying home and socially distanced, it doesn't mean that the great food can't come to you, and it can. You can also go pick it up as well at the Wildcat, 315-487-2222. Support local, support CNY. With that being said, Mr. Sofka, we have 3 more games to go, and the first of those 3 games is going to be on the Monday night-ish kind of night, late afternoon, I guess we'll call it now. There's a game being played today at 20 p.m. or 3:40 p.m. Eastern Time. Very strange. Makes me feel like the holidays, though, right? Watching these games in the middle of the day. It's kind of like bowl season. There's 41 bowls, so they got to play them at 10 a.m. and 3:40 in the afternoon and 1:25. Well, the first of our very interesting games this week I will call Monday night, but Monday afternoon, but it'll also be dark in Syracuse. Washington at Pittsburgh. What do you have for this?
Yeah, quick comment on those bowl games. I think you're going to see a lot of bowl games canceled because I don't think the sponsors are going to find the money. I don't think they're going to be able to find a return. They've already had the Pinstripe Bowl, if I'm not mistaken, canceled. So that's a bit of bad news. Worst news is for Dallas fans, Washington put up a bunch of points against you last week, and Washington's going to try to continue to put up points. But this ain't Dallas they're playing this week. They're playing Pittsburgh, who's a good team. But you got to understand, Pittsburgh still got to get out of Week 12 healthy. So keep that in mind as I'm talking about these rankings. This is assuming Pittsburgh leaves this game tonight at the same health, and they're not in good health because James Conner's on the COVID list. Benny Snell's the guy you want, but I don't think he's going to be able to run the ball super effectively against Washington. He's number 38 on my rankings this week. Ben Roethlisberger always seems to put up decent numbers. He's never more than a QB2. He's always a QB1 or high-level QB2, number 14 on my ranking this week, and that's because he's got 3 solid guys plus a solid tight end. That's not to receive the ball. That solid tight end, Eric Ebron, number 6 on my rankings. Deontay Johnson's been playing well. Juju's been playing well. And Chase Claypool's been playing as equal to Juju Smith. So in that regard, against this lineup here for Washington, I've got Deontay Johnson for the Steelers, ranked number 15. Juju, ranked number 22. And Chase Claypool, the outstanding rookie, the leader on my adjusted explosive index for all you dynasty players out there, number 23 on the rankings this week. So, again, I like me some Chase Claypool, but all those receivers and the tight end is what makes Ben Roethlisberger and his ability to deliver the ball. It's what makes Ben Roethlisberger so valuable. On the other side of the ball, you don't have that much value. Alex Smith, a feel-good story this year, but he's not all the way back, and he's not shining. He doesn't have to. He's got Antonio Gibson, number 13 on the rankings. J.D. McKissic's the passing down guy, PPR guy for you, number 29 on the rankings. Terry McLaurin's the only wide receiver I would play. Although Steven Sims or Cam Sims is capable of jumping up and doing something, Terry McLaurin's the guy. He's number 8 on my rankings. And Logan Thomas may show up for a touchdown, number 20 on the rankings. Because of the value at receiver, guys that can catch the ball, and Ben Roethlisberger, and the ability to stop the other team, which is Washington, because they have a good defense in Pittsburgh as well. I think Pittsburgh's going to win this game. And again, these rankings are subject to these players leaving today's game, the after-school special today. They got to leave today's game healthy. I'm going to take Pittsburgh for the win, though.
Yeah, I feel like, we're watching the Magic School Bus today, but it'll be fun, something for the kids to do at home, so I like it. Antonio Gibson played out of his mind against the Dallas Cowboys, who stink. They stink. Mike, seriously, listen, again, because I know people are going to go back and they're going to go, Dan, you said this, and then you said, no. I never said don't pay Dak Prescott. I said he wasn't the number 2 in the nation. I said he wasn't the second best under Pat Mahomes yet. But please pay this man, because you miss this man. We all miss this man. I miss him in fantasy. That man was giving me 50, 60 points. In reality, above everything, I want him to be healthy. I love the fact that he sends a text message to his mother before games, who's passed on. He stays connected to her forever. That love and that bond and that spirit and knowing he's going to see her one day, I love that. I respect him as a player. I miss him out there. The Cowboys got embarrassed by Washington. 41-16 on Thanksgiving? Thank God, some of you Dallas fans should just not have watched the game. Unless you threw it up and then you're like, oh, look, more turkey for me. Because this game made me vomit. Now it feels like I didn't have any, so more turkey, surprise. But this game, when you get beat by a team that doesn't even have a name, that's got to be a problem, okay? It's like getting beaten by Cher, right? Or Madonna. There's only one name. There's no full thing. Nobody knows what Madonna's last name is. I have no idea what Cher's last name is. Lady Gaga, as far as I know, is her birth name because that's all I know. So the reality of it all is the Dallas Cowboys somehow, some way, need to figure out how Jerry Jones, that has 72 yachts, can pay Dak Prescott. That's all I'm saying. But with that being said, let me walk into this game with you and paint a beautiful little picture. Antonio Gibson had himself a day. I'm proud of him. Is it going to be the same day in Pittsburgh? Probably not. But is he still worth a play for you as a running back 3, like a flex guy? I do like it. Low end 2. I'm a fan. Terry McLaurin, he's been able to get it done with different quarterbacks. Love it. Alex Smith, keep kicking tail, brother. I love the fact that you're back. I'm proud of you. God is great. And I hope that you have a fantastic I hope you have 2, 3, 4 more seasons, Alex. So God bless to you and much appreciation to you. The money lies in Terry McLaurin and a little bit with Antonio Gibson. On the other side, it's Big Ben Roethlisberger. It's Juju. It's Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, because you don't know who's going to get the ball. There's no true number one. It's supposed to be Juju, but there's no true number one yet. So Chase is a flex. Deontay's a flex. Juju's a wide receiver too, in my opinion. Eric Ebron is worth the play. Benny Snell and Anthony McFarland are both going to get opportunities. You can probably grab Snell on waivers potentially. You can more than definitely grab Anthony McFarland. I would get both of them for this game. I'm not telling you to play both in this game because I don't think the two of them together are going to maybe amount to one full running back if you got one of the other guys out there like Nick Chubb and whatnot. But I do think there's going to be some fantasy value in this. So I would suggest that you make those moves. I'm going to pick Pittsburgh to stay undefeated. Washington, oh my goodness, they came into Arlington, Texas, and they did the halftime special with Madonna and made y'all look nasty. Why are we subjected to Detroit and Dallas playing every Thanksgiving when they lose almost every Thanksgiving? I'm happy they get to play, and I'm sure they're proud of it, and it's great money. But at the end of the day, Detroit and Dallas, in recent history, absolutely positively stink up the bathroom on Thanksgiving. It's not just Uncle Merle, it's also Detroit and Dallas. Next game up is the actual Monday night game. It's Buffalo at San Francisco. This game looks pretty, Mike. I'm excited for Josh Allen going to the West Coast. What do you have?
Well, even though it says San Francisco's the home team, they're going to be playing in Glendale, Arizona. Santa Clara County having COVID issues, or they're shutting stuff down, or nobody's allowed to leave their house, and you can't have more than 5 people from 2 different families at your Thanksgiving. It's crazy. So they're having to play these games elsewhere. So I think it's this game and their next home game are going to be played in Glendale. It's not a true home game, but the Niners are coming off a road victory at LA where they shouldn't have won that game. They're undermanned. Everybody's hurt. Everybody has COVID. And they still found a way to win somehow, some way. And Buffalo almost found a way to lose. They let a rookie quarterback in Justin Herbert come into their crib and put 300 yards up on them. That's embarrassing. You got to play better defense than that. You got to pressure the other quarterback. So with that being said, I'm looking for value. I'm looking for somebody I can play. And the only guy I can really play off San Fran is Jordan Reed, and that says a lot, number 13. And that's just because the tight end position, that's their offensive game plan with George Kittle. But George Kittle's not there, and Jordan Reed is not George Kittle, but he's just sheer volume. That's what they're going to do because they're going to try to run the ball and grind. And it's not good for fantasy players because you got Raheem Mostert back, but he's only ranked 25 on my rankings, and Jerick McKinnon ranked 45. These guys are cannibalizing each other with this committee approach. And I don't feel firm enough in starting a Deebo Samuel or a Brandon Ayuk. These guys are ranked in the mid to high 30s. And Nick Mullins, he's doing the best he can, but it's Nick Mullins. It's not Garoppolo, even though Garoppolo wasn't playing that well. Nick Mullins, number 26 on my rankings this week. And looking over at the other side, looking at Buffalo, this is where the fantasy dollars are, but only for a few players. And I'm talking about Stephon Diggs, number 3 receiver on my rankings. I'm talking about Cole Beasley, number 27. And look out for Gabriel Davis to continue to make appearances and touchdowns here or there, the rookie quarterback. I think he's from UCF as well. Dawson Knox finally showed up with a touchdown last week, his first year, but I can't count on that guy. I can't count on Josh Allen, though, to be able to run the ball and pass the ball. He runs the ball real well. He's number 6 on the quarterback rankings. Look, if Buffalo's going to escape with another win, they're going to have to do it with defense. They're going to have to stop whatever San Fran can put up, and that's not a lot. San Fran doesn't have a lot of offense. So if Buffalo's defense plays a little better, I think they're going to win this game, and I think that's what's going to happen. Buffalo's going to sneak out a 3 to 7 point win here.
Yeah, it's crazy. Buffalo has not lost more than 2 games in a row this season, and that's also the case after winning here. They've lost to the Titans, the Chiefs, and the Cardinals. The Titans and Chiefs back-to-back, the Cardinals, and then got a win over the Chargers. So just to let people know, Buffalo, not a team to lose multiple in a row, 1 or 2. I should say not a team to lose more than 2 in a row this season, so they know how to lock it up and not let it beat them twice for the most part. There's a lot of fantasy value with these players in this game. I like Josh Allen. I like Devin Singletary. I still like Zach Moss as a flex. I like Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley. Gabriel Davis as a flex as well. And yes, Mike is from UCF, and I covered him when he was there. He got a touchdown. He's somebody that I've kept on my roster and kind of thought about sneaking in here and there because I do think he's going to have some games, and I'm happy to see that it wasn't just one game and that he bounced up and did something this past week. Raheem Mostert, having him come back, that's value there. I don't know how well it's going to be against Buffalo. It makes him a running back 3, in my opinion, because of who he's playing. Deebo Samuel, he's been on my injured reserve. He was healthy, then he wasn't. Then he had 133 yards on the road at the Rams. What is going on with Deebo? 13 targets, 11 catches, 133 yards. Not a touchdown, but still. And from Nick Mullins. So, Deebo Samuel obviously has fantasy value in this thing as well. So on the San Francisco side, I put it on really Deebo Samuel. He's going to be running the ball. They might do some trick plays with him, do what they did in the Super Bowl where they just handed him the ball in the backfield and let him be like a Tyreek Hill. He's the value that I see on San Francisco, to be completely honest with you. I don't really see it anywhere else. Final game that we have, Mr. Sofka, is Dallas at Baltimore. My goodness me. This game is going to be played on a Tuesday. And, the club might be going up on a Tuesday in Baltimore, #songs, but it's probably going down in Dallas and Arlington because I just don't. I mean, listen, Lamar Jackson's had some not so great moments recently, but it's kind of like, oh, thank goodness Dallas is coming to town. I don't know if Dallas is going to score more than 13 points in this game. What do you got?
Yeah, this is going to be interesting because, again, Week 12 is not done for the Ravens. Again, as we're doing this right now today, we're still waiting for that afternoon special game here on Wednesday. So
wait, Mike, are we waiting for an afternoon delight? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, afternoon delight. Yeah. Hey, Baltimore, should they escape? And it's interesting because they have the option to activate Mark Ingram for this game tonight, and they have the opportunity to activate J.K. Dobbins, who's taken over as the number 1 running back. So it'll be interesting to see if they activate one or both. And neither one of them's had practice, so I'm not sure how that's going to reflect. These guys are pros, though. It's just interesting to see how J.K. Dobbins would react to that if he is activated, because he's considered the number 1. But it looks like Gus Edwards is going to be the starter today, and it looks like Gus Edwards is going to be the volume guy. But with that being said, the following week, what we're talking about now is Week 13. Week 13 at home against Dallas. I still have those guys kind of cannibalizing each other. Those guys are all going to be ranked in the 30s and 40s. So I don't know if I can start any one of those guys. I don't know if I can start a Marquise Brown. Marquise Brown complaining about how he's not getting the looks. Well, he's probably not open. There's probably a reason for it. Lamar Jackson hasn't been able to get the ball downfield to anybody but Mark Andrews. And it looks like Mark Andrews is going to sit out this game today, but I have him ranked should he be back next week, and I think he will be off the COVID list. He'll be number 7 on the tight end rankings, and Lamar Jackson will be number 10 on the quarterback rankings. You know as well as I do, he's going to get a lot of those yards and a lot of those stats and a lot of those dollars for you with his legs. On the other side of the ball, Andy Dalton, again, he's almost that Mendoza line again. He's almost that middle-of-the-road guy, but he's number 21 on the rankings because the running game hasn't been extremely strong. They haven't been able to run the ball with effectiveness behind Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott ranked number 14 on my running back rankings. Amari Cooper showed up big last week. They need Amari Cooper to show up for another 112 yards and a touchdown at least. I think he'll do that. He's number 20 on the wide receiver rankings, and C.D. Lamb, 28 on the rankings. Michael Gallup, all those other guys are a distant pass. Dalton Schultz should be good for 55 yards and a touchdown. He's number 11 on the tight end rankings for us. Looking at this game, again, mind you, understanding that we need everybody I'm talking about to come out of this afternoon special game today healthy next week. If they do, I think the Ravens are going to win this game easily at home.
Yeah, this is, and we look at this right now, we're looking at the fact that the J.K. Dobbins unlikely to play, as well as Mark Ingram in this matchup for the, and or I should say in the upcoming one that's playing today. But yeah, so I mean, like Mike said, what's going to be as we move forward? Are we going to see these players come out there and do it because Baltimore is playing today. So there's a lot of ifs and question marks, and more guys on the Ravens tested positive and whatnot. So just things you got to watch. But ultimately in this matchup, I would say, obviously Ezekiel Elliott, you got to give a nod to Tony Pollard as a running back 4. Amari Cooper and Dalton Schultz, I really like. CeeDee Lamb as well and Michael Gallup, they're all getting looks. My best feel is Amari Cooper and Dalton Schultz, but then CeeDee Lamb and then Michael Gallup is how I would kind of rank them. Lamar Jackson in this game is worth the play. And depending on who plays in the game moving forward, J.K. Dobbins, if something happens with him and Ingram, then Gus Edwards. But right now, J.K. Dobbins, Mark Andrews, Dez Bryant's doing some good things. He's a sneaky flex guy. And Willie Snead is somebody to look to as well. I think he'll have a day against Dallas on that Tuesday night game. So that's what it looks like for us, as it's confusing to talk about Baltimore on the day that Baltimore is playing and then Baltimore for next week. But I'm going to pick Baltimore in this game. Mike's going to pick Baltimore in this game, and we pretty much are even on mostly everything here except for, I think, one of the games this time around. So with that being said, Mr. Sofka, I want to give you a very, very, very large thank you. I'm very thankful for you in this holiday season and all year round. I appreciate all the work that you do on HallOfFameFantasyFootball.com. And I implore everybody to go to Winning Fantasy Football and join us there in our Facebook group. It is free. It is easy. You type in Winning Fantasy Football in Facebook search bar, and you'll find us there. As always, Mr. Sofka, for the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. Thank you so much for all you do.
Yeah, thank you as well, Dan. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the platform. And again, if you have any questions, because things are going to be different this week, heading into Week 13, and Week 13 is going to look different, make sure you utilize that Winning Fantasy Football on Facebook. That's where you can ask for updated information and questions about your lineups. We're happy to help all the time. Dan, thanks again.
All right, I'll talk to you soon, Mike. And coming from Mr. Mike Sofka here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, we appreciate him very, very much, and thank him so much for all that he does here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora today, tomorrow, yesterday, per always. Thank you, and always. So thank you, Mr. Sofka. I want to thank Papa Joe for joining us a day early. That means that Julian Wiggum will be breaking down Syracuse football and college football in general in the midweek blitz tomorrow on our. I can't believe it's going to be our Thursday show already, but tomorrow. And I would be remiss if I didn't wish a belated happy birthday to my guy, Sonny Spira. I love you, brother. And happy birthday, December 2. Happy birthday to Rudy's. Happy birthday, Rudy. And I can't wait to see you and celebrate this weekend. Papa Joe, Mike Sofka, the best that there is. Love you so much. Appreciate you both very much so. MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', giving you a list of topics, and this is the perfect time to get poppin' and get into 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool. Go to Ma and Paz and get that tin. You can refill it, 50% off refills for the rest of your life. Get a holiday tin or whatever tin you want. Fill it with any kettle corn you want. They'll put the divides in there, let you fill it with all the flavors. You can mix and match. Come back the next time, mix again. It's awesome. It's great. They have sales throughout the holiday season. And if you go to maandpazpopcorn.com, that's ma and spelled out, pazpopcorn.com. If you use my promo code DT20, whether you're picking up in store or having it shipped to you anywhere in the United States, if you use the promo code DT20 on maandpazpopcorn.com, you will get 20% off from me and from Ma and Paz. So make sure that you do that. With that being stated, join us back here for Thursday and Friday this week and all throughout the week. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Mixlr.com/WakeUpCallDT is where you're listening. You're watching on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT. And you're searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on these platforms where you can get our archives. And there will be plenty added this week. You have my word. MixLR, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, iTunes, Podbean, iHeartRadio, YouTube's got the videos on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT. And a big proud thank you to all the companies that help to make this family as amazing as it is. Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Avicoli's, Chick-fil-A, Cicero, Honda City of Liverpool, K9 Camp Dog Daycare, and K9 Campground Dog Boarding, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Trapper's Pizza Pub, and the Millhouse Market. Now more than ever, it is important to support CNY. Go and support these businesses. Let them know that Wake Up Call sent you. And please, 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 make sure you help them out. Now more than ever, they need us. And it's cyclical. The more you do for them, the more they do for the community, and it keeps rocking around. Great people doing great things in these businesses, and I appreciate them and send my love to them every single day. We will get through this together. With that being said, find us on the Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, Twitter at CallDT, and the Insta famous, at Insta WakeUpCall, it's like a Kardashian, at WakeUpCall_DT. You can also go to my stories there, and I always try to post something new every single day, including inspirational words that come from the heart and my mind and my soul. So try to send you some nice stuff every single day. So make sure you find us there. In the meantime, this has been Wake Up Call. I will talk with you soon. I have so many great stuff, including maybe some specials coming up. It's going to be a great Wednesday, folks. Enjoy it. I'm going to love up the snow, and I'm going to have myself a good time. Shout out to Marywood, the best alma mater that there is. I love you all. I hope you have a great day. And as always, God bless, no stress. Do your best. One love, everybody. Be good.